All right, guys, good morning. It's Jalan with the Paradox Gaming Network. And today I am bringing you the remastered version of the 4.5 skill changes, the conceptual changes, and the skill tree swaps. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, Jalan, it's like deja vu, man. We just saw this video. I know you did, and give me just a second, and I'll tell you why I'm already having to remaster this video. Here's all the ways to get in touch with me. Discord's the easiest. Jalan hashtag 8446. Join me on Fridays on Twitch for Archeage 101 Live. Still planning on giving away 5 Apex. Had to shuffle just a bit with the video change. This video has the second clue. So the things I'm going to do today, I got a couple of apologies to give out. And then I'm going to talk about the conceptual changes. And then I did the skill shuffles in a different way. Because had a lot of things discussed on those first two videos. And then this is the first of many parts. I just have the next 3 parts planned out. First and foremost, going to do this overview to show you what the new skill trees are going to look like. Then I'm going to talk about all the passive changes because that's going to make a big difference on some builds. And then I'm going to show you all the new skill combinations and tree synergies and what some of the new classes might look like. Some of those more common classes you're going to see. So to start with the apologies, first and foremost, I owe Mark at Omnom a big apology. I did not cite him in my sources for the first 2 videos I did. And I usually do this. I'm really cognizant about pointing people over to Omnom. In fact, a lot of the weeks that Omnom puts something out in my blog, I'll just say, he's got this out, go visit it. I don't even want to talk about it. I want people to go and see it firsthand. He translates all the Korean by hand. He does all his own research. So really want to drive people to his site. So Mark, from me to you, I am really sorry. I've actually changed my slide deck actually to make sure I force myself to credit my sources. Because Mark is the source for early information coming out of Korea. The other apology I owe is I owe an apology to all of you. You deserved a better product than you got. Now, I will say that the first 2 videos I put out, huge amount of hits, but there was some inaccurate information in there. I'd been working on the video for quite a long time, piecing it together, and just other stuff kept getting in the way. And what I didn't do is I didn't go back and source check, and that's bad on me. You'd think that a history major would know that you have to source check. And the big feedback I got is that I wasn't being objective. And absolutely, the Archeage 101 series should be totally objective. Only when I'm doing builds in off different types of videos should I be putting in my personal spin and opinions. So thank you for the feedback, guys. Sometimes you need to just course correct. So I am sorry that you're having to watch me twice on the same topic, but let's get it right this time. So let's jump right in. Now, to get right into the conceptual changes, biggest thing that is going to change in 4.5 is your passives. The big one is 2 of the normal passives are now locked behind the Abyssal skill. So in order to gain access to those passives, you must first use that tree's Abyssal skill. Now, the benefit to this is you get those passives for free. You're going to actually get 2 skill points back for your builds. The drawback, of course, is you have to take the main Abyssal skill. And the 4 main trees all have a really good passive behind that Abyssal skill. The 3 damage trees, Archery, Battle Rage, and Sorcery, their damage increase is behind that Abyssal skill. And then for healing, for Vitalism, the healing 10% is behind that Abyssal skill. So this is no doubt going to cause some changes to the most commonly played classes. Now, to show you exactly how I came to that, what I did is I grabbed one of the Korean players so you could see how they have their build. And Tryon, please get us this. This would be awesome for us to have for the North American servers. But as you can see, in Archery, 18 points. In Occultism, 9 points. 7 points in Shadowplay. Well, 18 plus 9 plus 7 is 34. That's more than 28 that we have. But you see you got 28 points in the skills or in the regular passives. You got 3 in the Archery Abyssal, and you've got 3 from the Archery Abyssal passives, these down here. And my public math tells me that 28 plus 3 plus 3 is 34. So there you go. Looks like picking up 2 skill points to, you basically get those 2 points for free. Now, of course, if you weren't using one of the 2 passives, you don't really pick up 2 skill points. But hey, free is free. To get right into these conceptual changes, I want to talk about melee crit rate. And I know if you've been on the Archeage forums, you've seen this, and this is a huge discussion. I'm only going to talk about what the change does, and that changes that strength now affects melee crit rate instead of agility. That's just the fact of the change. Now, the uproar on the forums is based on gear, and that is a completely different discussion. So just realize that strength affects melee crit rate, not agility. Agility affects your ranged crit rate, and now only agility affects ranged crit rate. Intelligence was removed, so agility basically doubled the passive ranged crit rate received from stats. This is going to allow archers to single stat stack and then maintain that same crit rate. Melee and ranged accuracy, no longer affected by spirit. Instead, it is affected by the primary stat. So strength for melee and agility for ranged. Now, big change for archers, and I'm putting it in the conceptual change, even though it's a skill change, because it's really going to change archery gameplay, both how you play as an archer and how you defend against an archer. And that is when they're inside 8 meters, they no longer take a 20% skill debuff on their ranged attacks. So realize an archer right up in your face is going to do pure damage, not reduced damage. Now, mana reduction. Across the board, mana usage on skills was reduced. This is also really good for heavy mana pool users, coupled with the rank 7 potion change, because you're not going to be running out of mana in fights as quickly. 2 changes to mitigation of damage, and this is straight from Mark at Omna. Parry is no longer going to be affected by stamina. Strength affects parry, and its rate was tripled. So parry is going to become a lot more often, but, and spirit affects parry. But the downside is that a successful parry only reduces the damage taken by 40% versus the 100% now. And it's reported that the if your attack applies a debuff, even if the attack is parried, the debuff will still go through. Going to do a lot of extensive testing on this on PTS when we finally get it. Same sort of setup for shield block. Stamina now affects shield block instead of strength. So it's the only real nerf strength took, only real downside to strength. And like parry, a successful block will only reduce 60% of the damage instead of 100%. And we're still going to have that debuff bleed through on the successful attacks, or on the blocked attacks. Now, I changed up how I showed this slide, just so people can see the current tree versus the new tree. And again, I redid this. This is one of those reasons I redid the video completely, because I had a lot of old data from the original proposed changes. So, as you can see, archery got the most new skills as we go through. 3 new skills in total, although Emission Fire is a kind of altered version of Mana Force, but it's been totally changed to fit into the archery tree. Archery lost Boneyard, they lost Float, and they lost Piercing Shot. So some pretty significant changes to archery. If you want to know a lot more about these changes, I highly recommend Kooncoon's videos on archery. Clearly the most detailed stuff I've seen. I will put a link to one of those in the description below. For Auramancy, Auramancy gained 3 skills. It gained Courageous Action, it gained Fortress, and it gained To the Nether, which is a new skill. I will say, even though we're going to go into detail on all the skills later, Fortress is not the same Fortress that you're accustomed to. That skill changed. What they're losing, they lose Mirror Warp, they lose Liberation, and they lose Leech. For Battle Rage, not too many changes in what they gain or what they lose. They did a straight swap with defense, Olo's Hammer for Lasso. So just be aware that you're gaining Olo's Hammer and you are in fact losing the ability to pull people. Defense, like I just said, they had that straight swap of Lasso for Olo's Hammer. They also give up Fortress, but they pick up Retribution from the Occultism tree. Speaking of Occultism, Occultism saw the most changes. Occultism is picking up Boneyard, Play Dead, Shadow Step, and this new unknown name, new skill. I tried to translate it, not really sure what they're trying to call it. What they're losing is they're losing Mana Force, Retribution, Stillness, and as you can see, similar to the Telekinesis icon, but I'm not sure what the skill exactly does. More on that when we talk about the skills. Shadowplay, as you can see, they gained Leech, and they gained this new skill called Poisoning. It is not Toxic Shot. It is not a projectile attack. They lost Shadow Step, and they lost, obviously, Toxic Shot. Again, we're going to talk about things more in detail later, but Leech is no longer the spell from Days of Old. It is slightly different. Going to save that for the skills video. Songcraft picks up a new skill called Pursuit, and it picks up a new version of Grief's Cadence. The only reason why I call out Grief's Cadence by name is it's totally different. It's actually the positive half of Whirlwind's Blessing out of Vitalism. What's it losing? It's losing Rhythmic Renewal, and it's losing that old version of Grief's Cadence. It no longer does the debuff reduction. So I wanted to make sure people realize that it's organically completely different. I probably would have called it Whirlwind's Blessing or put the Whirlwind icon there. Sorcery, nothing gained, nothing lost, nothing borrowed. Vitalism, you are picking up Rhythmic Renewal at the cost of Whirlwind's Blessing. Now, again, Rhythmic Renewal, not the same spell that you're used to. It is not a ground healing anymore. We'll talk about that when we go through skills. And finally, Witchcraft. Witchcraft picked up Mirror's Warp and Stillness, and it lost Courageous Action, and it lost Play Dead. As you can see, my sources, a new slide. I used Omnom for a little bit of it. And then Archeage XL Games, their calculator, drawing the information from there. Now, to do the images in this video, I used ArcheageDatabase.net, the same place I've sent a lot of people to. But you notice I put a big red flag on it. There have been a lot of Norton pop-ups on my machine, a lot of malicious adware, a lot of problems with that site. They had some staff issues. So I want to make sure I'm not sending people to a site that could compromise their system. So for right now, big red flag on them. And then Archeage Calculator, they have the benefit of saving the gear and the builds, and the gear will affect the skill damage you're healing, etc. So let's take a look at that. And here we go. We are on Archeage Calculator, and as you can see, I have given myself a basic Aranor Club. Gives me 535 healing power. Now, I really like this site because you can do some trial builds and see what your gear is going to look like. But what a lot of people don't realize is if you come up here to the top and you hit skills, it's the same sort of thing as Archeage Database. You can see the skills, you can cursor over it. But the nice thing is if I take Antithesis, and you can see instantly restores 2815 health. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this real quick, and I'm going to come back to my Aranor Club, and I'm going to go big or go home, and I'm going to give myself an Eternal Aranor Club. Jumps my healing power. When I come back into skills, it's going to show you that my instantly restores 5253. So I really like this site because it allows you to see exactly what changes to your skills your gear is going to do. So this will probably become my preferred site for skill building, and I highly recommend it to all of you as well. So up next, guys, my next video is going to talk about just the passives. Really big changes in the passives, and one of the things, some of the feedback I got on the videos is I was trying to do too much at one time. So I'm going to give it in more bite-sized segments. So a lot of the passives switch around, so I think that's worthy of its own video. And then the next part of this is going to be a new skill combination tree synergies video, because a lot of things now synergize with different trees entirely. Again, guys, I am deeply sorry for putting out a video and getting a lot of you spun up. I really enjoyed all of the discussion. I have all of it, even though the previous videos are now on private. I have all of that discussion, and I am going to keep sifting through it, and none of it was wasted. So if you made a comment and it's no longer there, don't think like, oh, Jalan just deleted my stuff. Nope, put the videos on private. I'm regurgitating through all those comments so I can bring you guys better videos on the 4.5 skill changes. Take care, guys.
Hey, you. Yes, you. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. Hit that subscribe button. Watch a couple of more videos. Go check out our website.